Hey everybody, in this video we are going to discuss the relation that the movie Arrival has with the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. First, we are going to talk about the movie and later we are going to explain the hypothesis. Then we will see what approach does the movie take to explain the extraordinary events. Arrival is an American movie of drama and science fiction, based on the book by Ted Chiang, The Story of Your Life. The film showed 12 alien ships located in different points of the planet. This is why that the Dr. Banks and the physicist Donnelly are hired to decode and interpret the aliens' message to Earth citizens. They work together to find the patterns of the language of the inhabitants and thus be able to know the reasons for its coming.
Let's move on to the Sapir-Whorf theory, which was developed by the linguists Edward Sapir and Benjamin Whorf. The first part of the hypothesis showed that every language has a different way of understanding the world, and that this is fixed. In other words, there are plenty of languages, and the way that they describe the world can change according to the signs that each language possesses. In addition, some languages may differ in the way they use grammatical system or semantics. The second part of the hypothesis is divided into linguistic relativism, also called weak version, and linguistic determinism, or strong version. Let's start with linguistic determinism. Linguistic determinism states that the limits of a language are the limits of the world. That is, that if a sign for a concept in a language does not exist, it might be difficult or almost impossible for the speaker to imagine this concept. Now, we know that this is not true because language allows us to create new words for unknown things. On the other hand, linguistic relativism states that our language may influence the way we think, but not determine it. Most linguists support this version. For instance, John Lucy says that language do not completely blind speakers to other aspects of reality, but provide them with default preferences in their habitual response tendencies.
Now, talking about the relation between the movie and the hypothesis, the main problem presented in the movie was to discover the reason why aliens were on Earth. How will they be able to communicate if any of them knew each other's languages? This is when the Sapir-Whorf theory is used to explain and understand how Dr. Banks started to communicate with these creatures.
The movie took the linguistic determinism to explain this phenomenon. We will see why later on. First, they tried to explain to them the concept of human, with all the resources they could use. Dr. Banks started to teach them a list of words that were basic for us, to make them understand our reality. At the beginning it was difficult because they didn't know how the aliens' language worked. Because of this, it was a surprise to see that aliens communicated with logograms, which are written symbols representing an entirely spoken word, like Chinese or Japanese symbols.
Dr. Banks started to work on these logograms to decode what were these signs. After a few attempts, she realized that every part of these logograms was a unit that together formed a sign. Then she started to look for these units in different holograms that heptapods showed to her. This way, she started to understand a little more of their language, connecting it with our language.
One of the most important moments was when she finally understands that the time worked different for them. Meanwhile, for us is linear, for them was cyclical. And that's why their signs were circular, because it shows how they see and understand their world. Like the theory explained, every language may change the way we think, and that is when Dr. Banks started to have vision of the future.
In addition, the movie shows how Dr. Banks started to learn the way that aliens perceive the time. For example, we have years, days, months, and hours to talk about time. But they use the sun as reference. That's why it was cyclical. Time does not have direction. It's something that comes and goes.
Heptapods don't need to maintain linear order when writing down language, because the logograms represent entire concepts. Sequence doesn't matter. This is the reason why humans misunderstand the term tool with weapon, because heptapods had the same concept for both terms.
When she started to understand heptapod language more, her visions of the future started to be more frequently, because she acquired in her brain that the time wasn't linear. This way she was able to jump in time and see the future, exactly what aliens wanted. They wanted to give us this gift, so we could learn the perception of time, showing again the determinism view of the movie, because it shows that learning a new language can change your whole mindset.
But we still have doubts. The main question we ask ourselves is that when Dr. Banks was capable of understanding this language, did her mind reset? Like one of his co-workers states in the movie, the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis says that if you immerse yourself in another language, you can rewire your brain. Did she start to see everything in another way? Did she forget about what she knew earlier?
To conclude, the filmmakers realize that linguistic determinism is not actually the one that most linguists approve. Conversely, they support linguistic relativism, which states that our way of understanding things is not determined by our language, but is slightly biased. Okay, thanks for watching and like this video. Goodbye.